Welcome to Sleepy Science, a calm corner of the cosmos, where wonder drifts as softly as starlight. Tonight's journey takes us into the eye of the James Webb Space Telescope, a golden mirror adrift in the dark, searching for the faintest lights at the edge of time. And the question we ask is simple. Has it finally seen the one thing we've been waiting for? Before we begin, I would love to know where you are listening from. It is always humbling to imagine these quiet stories reaching so many corners of the world, all connected under the same sky. If you enjoy these explorations, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. And to those already here, thank you. You are helping this constellation of listeners grow. I hope this story soothes you toward rest. Though fair warning, discoveries at the edge of the universe may be too captivating to sleep through. If you do find yourself listening until the end, at least you will have learned something beautiful about how far our eyes can reach. So let us begin with a quiet question to carry. When we look farther than ever before, are we seeing the universe's past or glimpses of its future? Close your eyes and imagine the night sky stretched above you. Stars scatter like frost across a dark field, countless, endless, radiant. Each one is a sun, some larger than ours, some smaller, some ancient, some newly born. Around many of them orbit planets, worlds unknown, spinning silently through time. By sheer number, the universe ought to be alive with voices, with signals, with neighbors waving from distant shores. Yet, we hear nothing. This is the paradox of our time. If the cosmos is vast and fertile, where is everyone? Why does the sky, though crowded with light, remain so quiet? Astronomers call this the Fermi paradox, but you do not need a name to feel its weight. You need only sit beneath the stars and listen to the silence that is not absence, but mystery. Breathe slowly. Inhale the vastness. Exhale the silence. From the earliest civilizations, humans imagined company in the heavens. Gods and spirits lived among the stars. Later, philosophers wondered about other worlds, other lives. Today, with telescopes and satellites, we can see thousands of planets circling nearby stars, each one a potential harbor. The numbers are staggering. If even a fraction of them hold oceans, skies, and warmth, then life should be everywhere. Intelligent beings should have risen, built, signaled. Yet the universe remains quiet. Pause here. Let the quiet sink in. It is not empty, it is a question. Perhaps the silence is distance. Light takes time to travel, and so do signals. A civilization on the far side of the galaxy could speak, but we would not hear them for tens of thousands of years. Our listening, though patient, has barely lasted a century. Maybe we are children at the edge of a great conversation, too early to hear the voices drifting through space. Or perhaps the silence is fragility. Life may spark often, but intelligence may not endure. Civilizations may rise, shine brightly, and then fall before their voices reach the stars. In this view, the universe is not empty, but tragic. Its silence is a record of lives too brief, too fragile to endure. Breathe again. Inhale the possibility of neighbors long gone. Exhale the humility of our own fragile span. There is also the possibility that silence is choice. Advanced beings may choose not to speak, or to speak in ways we cannot hear. They may live quietly, blending into nature, uninterested in broadcasting themselves. Or perhaps they watch us as we watch animals in a forest, present but silent, waiting, allowing us to grow. The silence, then, may be less emptiness and more restraint. Pause once more. Let this thought soften you. What we call silence may simply be language we do not yet understand. The James Webb Space Telescope enters this silence not to break it, but to deepen our listening. Its golden mirrors are not radios, not receivers of signals, but eyes attuned to light infrared glows from galaxies, stars, planets. By studying these, Webb brings us closer to the conditions for life. 2 atmospheres where breath might linger, 2 planets where oceans might shimmer unseen. The telescope does not expect to hear voices, but to prepare us patiently to know where they might be. Imagine yourself floating beside Webb, adrift in the cold. Around you, silence hums. The telescope points outward, catching photons that have traveled across billions of years. They arrive without sound, without announcement, and yet they carry meaning. Silence is not absence. It is information waiting to be read. Breathe again. Inhale the richness hidden in quiet. Exhale the comfort that silence can still speak. The great silence also reflects us. In searching for others, we reveal our own longing, not only to know, but to belong. The question, where is everyone, is also the question, who are we? If we are alone, then life is precious beyond measure, fragile and singular. If we are not alone, then life is abundant, and we are part of something larger. Either way, the silence is not failure. It is invitation, urging us to listen more deeply, to stretch our imagination further. Reflect for a moment on silence in your own life. It is not always emptiness. Sometimes it holds presence, meaning, depth. A pause in conversation can carry more than words. A still moment in nature can reveal more than noise. The silence of the universe may be the same, not void, but fullness we have yet to translate. Pause here. Rest in that thought. Silence is its own kind of language. As you drift in these reflections, imagine the timeline of the universe. For billions of years, galaxies have formed, stars ignited, planets cooled. Life on Earth appeared only recently in that span. Intelligent life, our kind of questioning, building, wondering, has existed for mere moments. Perhaps the silence is not because the universe is empty, but because we are early. Perhaps the voices are still forming, still gathering breath, still learning how to sing. Breathe slowly. Inhale the possibility of futures unseen. Exhale the patience of waiting for them. Webb's mission reminds us that silence is not static. Each observation adds texture. Each image adds depth. We may not hear signals, but we see history's galaxies forming too soon. Stars being born, dust scattering the seeds of planets. The universe may not speak in the voices we expect, but it speaks constantly, in light, in structure, in rhythm. We are already in conversation, even if the dialogue is slow. Think now of music. A song is not only notes, but pauses. The rests between sounds shape the melody. The universe, too, may be composed of both signals and silences, voices and pauses. We may be in the middle of such a rest, waiting for the next phrase. The silence is not the absence of song, but part of it. Pause again. Let this soften you. You are already inside a music too vast to grasp, the great silence humbles us. It reminds us that we are not entitled to answers. The universe does not owe us voices, companions, or proof. What it offers is wonder. To sit beneath the stars and hear only silence is to be invited into awe, into patience, into curiosity. The silence itself becomes the one thing we have been waiting for, not because it satisfies, but because it deepens longing. Breathe slowly. Inhale the weight of the question. Exhale the comfort of not needing the answer yet. Perhaps, in the end, the silence is the truest gift. For if the universe were loud with signals, crowded with messages, we might stop listening. We might grow accustomed, distracted. Silence keeps us awake, alert, listening carefully. It sharpens our sense of wonder. It reminds us that to be human is to seek, even without certainty of finding. Now imagine the telescope gazing on year after year, golden mirrors catching ancient light. It does not grow impatient. It does not demand voices. It only listens, faithfully, silently. Its patience is our lesson. To wait is not to fail. To wait is to honor the scale of time. One last breath. Inhale the humility of silence. Exhale the gratitude that silence, too, belongs to the universe. And as this opening chapter closes, one thought rises gently. If the universe is so quiet, then perhaps the deeper meaning is not in what is missing, but in what is present: our own questions, our own wonder, our own readiness to listen. Talk. Close your eyes and lift your mind into the sky. Not just the stars you see with your naked eyes, but the countless more that lie hidden beyond them. The Milky Way itself is a river of hundreds of billions of stars, each one burning, each one unique. Around many planets orbit in silence, some rocky, some gaseous, some frozen, some hot. Now multiply this single galaxy by billions more. Each galaxy a city of suns, each sun a lantern in the dark. The scale overwhelms. Billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars, and around them uncounted planets. Even if only a fraction carried life, the night should be filled with voices. Statistically, mathematically, the odds tilt toward abundance, yet the silence persists. The question grows sharper, not softer. If the sky is full of possibilities, why do we hear nothing? Breathe slowly. Inhale the weight of vast numbers. Exhale the paradox of silence within them. Astronomers try to make sense of these numbers. The Drake equation, simple but profound, multiplies probabilities. How many stars form? How many have planets? How many planets are habitable? How many grow life? How many life forms develop intelligence? How many choose to communicate? Each factor is uncertain, but the product should be large. The universe should be teeming, yet we have no confirmation. The silence is not explained away. It sits like a stone at the heart of possibility. Pause here. Reflect on how numbers, though persuasive, cannot speak louder than experience. To count is not to confirm. To hope is not to hear. The James Webb Space Telescope sharpens this vision. With its golden mirrors, it reveals galaxies at distances never seen before, confirming what theory long suggested: the universe is richer than we imagined. Webb does not reduce the number of possibilities, it multiplies them. Every new deep field shows thousands of galaxies packed into tiny slivers of sky. If one square of night can hold so many, then the full sphere of heavens must be unimaginably dense. The probability of life increases, yet the silence holds. Now imagine yourself drifting into one of those deep fields. Galaxies bloom around you, spirals, ellipticals, irregulars. Each galaxy holds hundreds of billions of stars. Around those stars, planets spin quietly. Oceans may shimmer, clouds may gather, winds may move across surfaces. Somewhere, perhaps, life stirs, simple or complex. You cannot hear them, cannot see them, but the possibilities surround you, pressing in like a tide. Breathe again. Inhale the intimacy of countless worlds. Exhale the mystery that none have spoken. The paradox deepens when you consider time. The universe is not only vast in space, but old in years, nearly 14 billion of them. Civilizations could have arisen long before us, had time to grow, to travel, to spread. If even one survived long enough, the sky should carry evidence. Yet no probes, no signals, no artifacts arrive. We stand in solitude, not because the odds are poor, but because reality has not matched them. Pause again. Let this tension settle. The math insists on company. The evidence insists on silence. Possibility, however, is not absence. The silence may be temporary. We have only just begun to listen, only just begun to see. Our technology spans a blink in cosmic time. Web itself has only recently unfolded its mirrors, only recently begun its gaze. The sky may yet speak faintly in signals or atmospheres or chemical whispers. Numbers assure us that life is likely. Time reminds us that patience is required. Now reflect on possibility in your own life. How often does the sheer potential overwhelm you? So many paths, so many chances, so many directions. Yet not all are taken, not all are realized. Possibility is not certainty. It is an invitation, not a guarantee. The universe offers billions of chances for life, but we do not yet know how many answered. Breathe slowly. Inhale the abundance of chances. Exhale the humility of waiting for proof. The images Webb returns make possibility feel tangible. Exoplanets with water vapor in their skies. Disks of dust forming around young stars. Galaxies already mature in the universe's youth. Each discovery is a reminder that potential is everywhere. The cosmos is not stingy, it is lavish. To see possibility is to see generosity written in stars. Rest in that generosity. You need not know how many possibilities bloom. It is enough to know they exist. Possibility also carries responsibility. If life is rare, then perhaps we are one of its few expressions. If life is common, then we are part of a greater chorus. Either way, the numbers remind us that we are not accidents. We are outcomes of a universe that builds stars, planets, and chemistry. We are woven into its probabilities, embodied in its generosity. Now imagine Webb continuing its patient gaze. Its mirrors gather faint light from galaxies billions of years away. Each photon is a possibility realized, a star that formed, a planet that cooled, perhaps even a life that stirred. We cannot see the life itself, but we can sense the backdrop against which it might unfold. Possibility is not absence. It is the canvas upon which presence may emerge. Breathe again. Inhale the canvas of galaxies. Exhale gratitude for being part of the painting. To drift with these thoughts is to realize that possibility itself is wonder. The question, where is everyone, need not be answered to be profound. It is enough to know that the sky is dense with potential, each star a seed, each planet a chance. Silence does not diminish that truth, it sharpens it. Pause once more. Reflect on how often possibility, even without certainty, has given you strength. The possibility of love, of growth, of change even, when unseen, they carry you forward. The universe does the same. Its silence is not void, but invitation. As you rest at the close of this chapter, let the weight of numbers hold you gently. Billions of galaxies, billions of stars, billions of worlds. Surely some carry life. Surely some hold breath, presence, stories. The silence may endure, but the possibilities surround you, abundant. Inhale the abundance of stars. Exhale into the mystery that they hold. And as you drift onward, another question rises gently. If the universe is so full of possibilities, then what else might it be holding back? What other surprises? What other forms of wonder waiting quietly in the silence? Close your eyes and imagine a summer afternoon in Los Alamos, 1950. The desert air is dry, the mesas rise in heat, and inside a cafeteria, a group of physicists gather for lunch. They are men who helped build the atomic age, who know the weight of hidden powers. They talk easily, half in jest, half in speculation, about the possibility of life on other worlds. At one point, Enrico Fermi, Nobel laureate, pauses in his meal. He looks up, half smiling, and asks the question that will echo through decades. Where is everybody? It was not a paper, not a lecture, not a proclamation, just a casual question over lunch. Yet in that moment, silence fell. The room stilled as the scale of the question sank in. Billions of stars, billions of planets, billions of years. If civilizations exist, some should be older than us, wiser than us, more advanced. They should have spread, signaled, left traces. Yet the sky is empty. Fermi's question held the paradox in its simplest form. The universe ought to be loud with life. Instead, it is quiet. Breathe slowly. Inhale the simplicity of the question. Exhale the weight of its silence. The question endures because it is both obvious and haunting. Children ask it naturally. If there are so many stars, why don't we see aliens? Astronomers ask it rigorously, balancing probabilities, calculating timescales. Philosophers ask it reflectively, wondering what it means to be alone. Fermi distilled them all into a single sentence. Pause here. Reflect on how often truth begins, not in complicated theory, but in a simple question that refuses to leave. Since that lunch, the Fermi paradox has grown into one of science's deepest mysteries. It is not a paradox in the strict sense, but a tension. On one side, numbers, statistics, probabilities. On the other, silence, absence, emptiness. The greater the number of possible civilizations, the stranger the silence becomes. Imagine the universe as a theater. Billions of seats are filled with stars. Billions of balconies hold planets. You take your seat, waiting for the play to begin. Surely the curtain will rise. Voices will emerge. The stage will be alive. But it does not. The theater remains hushed. The silence is not ordinary, it is unsettling. That is Fermi's question, alive in metaphor. Breathe again. Inhale the image of the silent theater. Exhale the patience of waiting for voices. The paradox has inspired countless attempts at answers. Perhaps civilizations are rare, fragile, unlikely. Perhaps they self-destruct before spreading. Perhaps they are there, but we cannot hear them using technologies beyond our imagination. Speaking in languages we cannot decode. Perhaps they choose not to speak at all. Each answer softens the paradox, but none silences it. The question lingers, stubborn as starlight. Pause once more. Let yourself feel the persistence of a question that resists closure. The James Webb Space Telescope does not directly seek civilizations. It is not a radio, not a receiver of messages, but in its way, it addresses Fermi's question. By revealing exoplanets with atmospheres, by tracing early galaxies, by mapping dust and chemistry, it shows us the context in which life may arise. Webb cannot answer, where is everybody? But it can show us how many places everybody could be. It moves the paradox from speculation to evidence. Now imagine yourself standing with Fermi in that cafeteria. He looks upward, as though the ceiling were transparent, revealing the stars beyond. His question lingers in the air. You stand beside him, listening. The universe does not answer, but you realize the silence itself is an answer, not in certainty, but in invitation. To be puzzled is to be alive. To be unsettled is to be awake. Breathe slowly. Inhale the courage of asking. Exhale the patience of not knowing. Fermi's question also mirrors human experience. How often do you look for connection and find silence? You send signals, words, gestures, hopes into the world. Sometimes they return. Sometimes they do not. Silence can feel like emptiness, but it can also be space for wonder. The paradox is not only cosmic, it is personal. It reflects the human need for belonging, for response, for recognition. Pause here. Reflect on how curiosity itself is a mirror. When we ask if we are alone, we are also asking whether we matter, whether our voices echo beyond ourselves in this way. The paradox is not discouragement, but invitation. It invites us to build telescopes, to listen harder, to imagine more deeply. It invites us to humility, to patience, to wonder, to sit beneath the stars and ask, where is everybody? Is to participate in a question older than science, older than names. It is to belong to the lineage of wonder. Breathe again. Inhale the lineage of seekers. Exhale the gift of being one of them. The beauty of Fermi's quiet question is that it reframes the silence. Instead of assuming the universe is full of voices, we are reminded that silence itself has meaning. The absence of signals is a phenomenon, not nothing. It pushes us to ask, what conditions make silence possible? What conditions allow presence? In this way, the paradox is less a puzzle to solve than a compass to guide. Imagine web gazing outward, golden mirrors reflecting ancient light. It does not expect aliens to appear. It expects patterns of chemistry, structures of galaxies, rhythms of dust. Yet, through those, it helps answer Fermi not with certainty, but with context. It shows the richness of possible homes, the timelines of early galaxies, the chemistry of beginnings. Each piece reshapes the question, reminding us that the paradox is not fixed, but evolving. Pause once more. Let yourself rest in the awareness that questions themselves are alive. They grow, shift, unfold. Perhaps the universe is full of life, but it does not look like us. Perhaps intelligence takes forms we would not recognize. Perhaps communication happens in ways we cannot imagine. Magnetic fields, neutrinos, quantum entanglement. Our silence may be their conversation. Fermi's question lingers because we assume we know what to expect. Webb, by expanding what we see, may expand what we imagine. Breathe slowly. Inhale the possibility of difference. Exhale the humility of expectation undone. The cafeteria at Los Alamos has long since emptied. Fermi himself is gone. Yet his question remains, echoing across decades, carried into classrooms, books, telescopes, minds. It is no longer his alone. It belongs to all of us who look upward and wonder. The quiet question has become the chorus of humanity. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the paradox. Exhale the comfort of carrying it forward. And as this chapter softens, one thought rises gently. If the universe pauses at Fermi's question, perhaps the silence is not an answer withheld, but an invitation extended to keep asking, to keep listening, to keep wondering. Close your eyes and imagine a match struck in the wind. For a moment, it glows, fragile, flickering. Most sparks are carried away, extinguished before they can catch. But once in a while, against the odds, one flame takes hold, feeding on fuel, growing into something steady. Perhaps life is like that, possible in theory, improbable in reality. A spark that so rarely endures that Earth itself may be one of the only flames lit in the darkness of the cosmos. This is one answer to Fermi's question. Not that civilizations are common but silent, not that they fall before they can speak, but that they never arise at all. The universe is full of stars, planets, oceans, and skies. But the chemistry of life, the leap from matter to meanings, rare beyond measure. In this view, the great silence is not a puzzle, but a confirmation. We are rare. Perhaps we are alone. Breathe slowly. Inhale the fragility of a spark. Exhale the wonder that ours has endured. The odds against life are staggering. Consider the steps. Stars must form. Heavy elements must be forged in their cores. Planets must coalesce. Water must gather. Chemistry must align. Self-replication must begin. Even then, survival is uncertain. Extinctions, collisions, cosmic radiation, any of these could have ended the story before it began. Yet, on Earth, against the long odds, life persisted. And from single cells to complex creatures to beings who ask questions, it grew into us. Pause here. Reflect on how improbable you are. Every ancestor survived long enough to reproduce. Every chance encounter, every fragile choice led to you. Against the odds, you exist. Some scientists argue that the leap from chemistry to biology, the origin of life itself, may be the rarest step of all. We do not know how it happened here, whether in a warm pond, a deep sea vent, or icy shallows. We only know it happened once, long ago, and from that seed everything else grew. If the spark is that rare, then perhaps billions of planets remain barren, oceans without swimmers, skies without wings, soils without roots. The silence of the stars becomes not tragedy, but inevitability. Imagine standing at the edge of such a barren world. The sky is blue, the seas shimmer, the rocks glisten, but nothing moves. No birds, no trees, no voices, only silence. Multiply that world by millions, by billions, and you glimpse what the cosmos may be, full of beauty, empty of life. Earth, then, is not ordinary. It is miracle. Breathe. Inhale the miracle of breath. Exhale gratitude for oceans alive with sound. Even here, life's survival has been precarious. 5 great mass extinctions nearly erased it. Meteor impacts, volcanic upheavals, climate swings all threatened to snuff the flame. Yet, somehow, life recovered each time, adapting, transforming. Humans themselves are the product of unlikely events. Evolutionary branches that could easily have broken. Ancestors that could easily have perished. Against the odds, the line continued. Against the odds, you are here, breathing now. Pause once more. Let yourself feel the weight of rarity as a form of treasure. The James Webb Space Telescope sharpens this view. As it studies exoplanets, it may find many barren skies, some with atmospheres stripped, some with surfaces scorched, some with ice too thick, some with chemistry too simple. The more Webb sees of lifeless worlds, the more Earth's uniqueness grows clear. Each negative result deepens the wonder of our own positive. Silence, then, is not despair. It is awe. Imagine Webb drifting in the cold, its mirrors catching light from a planet orbiting another sun. The spectrum reveals carbon dioxide, methane, maybe water vapor. Promising, but not proof of life. Still, most spectra reveal less. Thin air, toxic gases, barren skies. Webb teaches us that the odds are indeed long, and that our own green and blue world is extraordinary. Breathe slowly. Inhale the extraordinariness of Earth. Exhale the humility of knowing how rare it is. The long odds also remind us of responsibility. If life is that rare, then our stewardship matters beyond measure. To extinguish ourselves would not simply be a local tragedy. It would be the loss of one of the universe's few flames, perhaps the only one. To care for Earth is to care for the cosmos itself, for its chance at awareness, at wonder, at voice. Reflect for a moment on your own life. How often do you forget that existence itself is rare? You rush, worry, strive, but beneath it all lies the miracle of simply being here against the odds. Your breath flows, your heart beats, your mind wonders. To live with awareness of rarity is to live with reverence. Pause again. Rest in that reverence. The silence of the universe, when viewed through the lens of long odds, becomes less frightening. It is not emptiness, it is rarity. The absence of voices is not failure. It is proof that our voice is precious. Perhaps we are alone, or nearly so. Perhaps the sky is not filled with company, but with potential that never realized. In such a universe, the responsibility of wonder is ours alone. Imagine again that match struck in the wind. Billions of sparks vanish, but one catches, one flame grows. That flame is Earth. That flame is us. To be alive is to be improbable, and to be improbable is to be sacred. Breathe once more. Inhale the sacredness of rarity. Exhale the peace of belonging to it. The James Webb Space Telescope will continue its work, testing the odds, surveying worlds, gathering data. Its results may never confirm life elsewhere. Yet even in the silence, it has already answered. The cosmos is vast, life is rare, and we are the improbable flame. To carry that awareness is to live more fully, to rest more deeply, to wonder more profoundly. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the weight of the long odds. Exhale into the comfort that rarity itself is beauty. And as this chapter settles, one question lingers softly. If the odds are so long, then what will we do with the miracle we have been given? Close your eyes and picture a field of lanterns on a quiet night. One by one, they are lit small flames, rising, fragile but bright. For a moment the field glows, each lantern a symbol of possibility. But then, one by one, they go out. A gust of wind, a lack of fuel, an unnoticed crack in the glass. Soon the field is dark again, only faint smoke drifting. This image is one way to understand the Great Filter. The Great Filter is a hypothesis born from Fermi's question. If the universe is full of possibilities, yet we hear nothing, perhaps civilizations rarely pass a hidden barrier. Somewhere between the birth of life and the rise of spacefaring societies lies a filter, a gauntlet that most never cross. Some sparks ignite, but nearly all are extinguished before they can spread. Breathe slowly. Inhale the image of fragile lanterns. Exhale the weight of fading light. Where might the filter lie? It could be early, in the improbable origin of life itself. Perhaps we have already passed it, and our survival to this point is extraordinary. Or it could be ahead of us, waiting in our future, a barrier few ever overcome. The uncertainty is heavy. If the filter lies behind us, then we are rare and precious. If it lies before us, then we may be doomed. Pause here. Let yourself rest in the tension between past miracle and future threat. Imagine civilizations on other worlds. They rise with curiosity, build with ingenuity, grow with ambition. They begin to ask questions of the stars, just as we do. But then something comes, a war too vast, a climate collapse too severe, a resource too depleted. Their flame flickers, fades. They do not survive long enough to speak. Their silence is not choice, is absence born of fragility. Reflect on how fragile our own civilization is. Our technologies connect us, but also threaten us. Our power gives us comfort, but also peril. Nuclear weapons, ecological imbalance, artificial systems beyond control. Each could be a filter, each a gust that could snuff the flame. Breathe again. Inhale the awareness of fragility. Exhale the desire to endure. The James Webb Space Telescope does not search for filters directly, but in its work, it reminds us of context. We see stars forming, planets orbiting, galaxies maturing. We see the vastness in which life might arise. Webb frames the paradox. If conditions are so abundant, then the absence of voices may indeed signal filters at work. The telescope deepens both wonder and warning. Imagine Webb gazing into the dark, its golden mirrors catching faint light from distant galaxies. Some of those galaxies may once have held civilizations, lights briefly burning. Their signals may have faded long before their light reached us. We see only stars and dust. never the voices that may have risen and fallen. The silence becomes not absence, but elegy. Pause once more. Rest in the thought that silence can carry mourning as well as mystery. The great filter forces us to confront our future. If it lies ahead, we must ask, what will test us? And will we survive? Will we avoid war? Will we preserve the earth? Will we guide our technologies with wisdom? The paradox becomes personal, not. The survival of our flame depends on choices we make now. Reflect on your own life. Filters appear here to moments where paths could close, where mistakes could extinguish possibility. Yet sometimes, through awareness and care, you pass through them. The great filter may be cosmic, but it is also intimate. Survival requires humility, vigilance, and hope. Breathe slowly. Inhale the weight of vigilance. Exhale the hope of passing through. Some thinkers suggest that if we find no signs of life anywhere, no atmospheres with oxygen, no biosignatures, no traces of civilizations, then the filter may lie behind us. Life's origin is rare, and we have already crossed the hardest step. That view is comforting. The silence is proof of our rarity, not our doom. But if Webb or future telescopes find many planets with signs of life, yet still no signs of intelligence, then the filter may lie ahead. Civilizations may spark easily, but burn out quickly. That view is sobering. The silence is warning, not comfort. Pause here. Let the weight of both possibilities settle. Rarity as miracle, or silence as prophecy. Either way, the filter reframes the silence. It is not emptiness, but fragility. It is not absence, but loss. The quiet sky may be filled with the graves of civilizations, flames too brief to endure. To imagine this is to feel both grief and reverence. Grief for what may have been lost, reverence for the flame we carry now. Imagine yourself holding that flame, a fragile lantern in your hands. Around you, the night stretches vast. You know the odds are long, the dangers many. Yet, still, the flame burns. To be alive, to wonder, to ask this itself is defiance of the filter. To endure is to honor the silence, to refuse to let it end in you. Breathe again. Inhale the flame of endurance. Exhale the vow to keep it alive. The great filter is not only warning, it is also invitation. To recognize fragility is to awaken responsibility. To imagine filters ahead is to prepare, to grow wiser, to choose with care. Perhaps the filter is not an unavoidable fate, but a challenge that can be met. Perhaps survival requires not power, but humility, not dominance, but balance. To pass the filter may be to learn how to live gently within the cosmos. Pause once more. Reflect on how often survival in your own life has come not from force, but from patience, kindness, resilience. The cosmos may be no different. As Webb continues its work, we will learn more. Each exoplanet atmosphere, each galaxy survey, each clue will sharpen our picture of how common life may be and how fragile. The silence will remain, but within it we may glimpse patterns, hints of where filters lie. Science will not banish the mystery, but it will deepen our understanding, our reverence, our sense of responsibility. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the paradox of silence. Exhale the vow to endure. And as this chapter closes, another thought rises gently. If the night is filled with extinguished flames, then perhaps the meaning of our own light is greater than we know. Close your eyes and imagine a vast harbor at night. The water is calm, the horizon infinite. Far away, ships move silently, their lanterns flickering. But the ocean is wide, the timing uncertain. One vessel arrives at dusk, another departs at dawn. They never meet, never exchange greetings. They pass through the same waters, but at different times. This is one vision of the cosmos, not empty, but staggered. Civilizations may rise and fall, like ships in the harbor, rarely overlapping. The silence may not mean absence. It may mean we are too early or too late. The universe is old, nearly 14 billion years. Stars have burned, galaxies have matured, planets have formed. Yet humanity's story is young. Our entire existence as a species spans only a flicker of cosmic time. Civilizations elsewhere may have bloomed billions of years before us, risen to heights we cannot imagine, and then faded. Their traces may lie buried in dust, erased by stars, life cycles, lost to entropy. By the time we arrived, they were gone. We are too late to meet them. Breathe slowly. Inhale the weight of time. Exhale the melancholy of missed encounters. But it could also be the opposite. Perhaps we are early. Perhaps life is only just beginning to awaken across the cosmos. Stars are still forming, planets still cooling, chemistry still stirring. Civilizations may not yet exist in numbers. We are the first wave, the first ship leaving the harbor. Others may follow, but we will not see them. We are too early to hear their voices. Pause here. Let this duality sink in. Too late or too early both leave us alone. The sadness of this possibility is subtle. It does not say the universe is barren, only that we will never share it. We may be surrounded by countless civilizations across history, but never contemporaries. The distance is not in light years, but in eras. Imagine billions of lights flickering across time, but never overlapping, never burning together. The cosmos becomes a concert where each instrument plays alone, never harmonizing, never forming a song. Breathe again. Inhale the image of solo notes. Exhale the longing for a melody that never comes. The James Webb Space Telescope offers a perspective on this. By looking back in time, Webb shows us galaxies as they were billions of years ago. Some of those galaxies could have held civilizations long vanished. The light we see is already a memory, not the present. In this way, Webb embodies the sadness of ships passing. We see the universe as it was, not as it is. Even if voices once lived there, by the time their light reaches us, they may be gone. Imagine Webb's golden mirrors, open in the dark, catching faint photons. Each photon is ancient, older than humanity itself. It carries information, beauty, wonder, but it cannot carry the present. The telescope shows us history, not now. Even at its most powerful, our gaze cannot bridge the gap of time. We are always latecomers to the light we see. Pause once more. Rest in the truth that the night sky is both presence and absence, both illumination and loss. If civilizations rise and fall, then the silence we hear may be the echo of impermanence. Just as species on Earth appear and vanish, so too might cosmic civilizations. Their stories may be long compared to ours, but brief compared to stars. They bloom, flourish, decline, and vanish. To meet them requires extraordinary coincidence, the right star, the right planet, the right chemistry, the right moment. Against billions of years, such overlap may be vanishingly rare. Reflect on your own life. How many friendships, connections, encounters are shaped by timing? A meeting at the right moment can change everything. A missed moment may leave you wondering what might have been. The cosmos mirrors this truth. Connection is as much about timing as about presence. Breathe slowly. Inhale the poignancy of timing. Exhale the acceptance that not all ships will meet. The sadness deepens when you consider the fragility of memory. Even if civilizations flourished long ago, their traces may be gone. Planets recycle through tectonics. Atmospheres shift. Stars evolve. Time erases. What remains is silence, not because nothing was there, but because everything faded. The stars are not empty, they are forgetful. We look for voices, but what we find are erased pages, palimpsests written over by time. Imagine a library where each book eventually turns to dust, its words unreadable. You walk the aisles, shelves upon shelves, but most are blank. Only fragments remain, scattered and faint. That library is the universe. Its silence is not emptiness, but amnesia. Breathe again. Inhale the fragility of memory. Exhale the humility of being one of the few living pages. The possibility that we are too early or too late is not only melancholy, it is also a call to wonder. If we are early, then we are pioneers. We are the first ship to leave the harbor, the first flame in the night. Our task is to endure, to keep the flame alive until others arrive. If we are late, then we are inheritors. We carry forward not their knowledge, but their possibility, honoring those whose voices faded before we could hear them. Either way, our place is meaningful. Pause once more. Let this meaning soften the sadness. Even if we miss others, our own flame matters. The James Webb Space Telescope embodies this. It shows us not neighbors, but history. It reminds us that the cosmos is vast, not only in space, but in time. It humbles us, placing us in context, and yet it also inspires. For to gaze back billions of years and still ask questions is to affirm that wonder is timeless. Even if we never meet others, the act of seeking binds us to them in spirit. We share the same curiosity, the same longing, even across ages. Reflect now on your own longing. How often do you wish for connection that cannot arrive, for voices you will never hear? And yet, even in absence, the longing shapes you, deepens you, makes you more human. The universe, too, is shaped by its silences. Breathe slowly. Inhale the beauty of longing itself. Exhale into the peace of carrying it with you. Perhaps the sadness of ships passing is not only loss, but also beauty. To know that others may have lived, wondered, struggled, even if we never meet them, is still to know we are not alone in spirit. Our solitude is softened by the thought of shared possibility, even if separated by eon. The silence becomes elegy, not void. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the thought of ships unseen. Exhale the calm of sailing your own course. Close your eyes and picture a forest reserve. Animals move through it, unaware of the fence, unaware of the watchers beyond. They live their lives as if alone, free in their perception. but overseen in reality. This is the metaphor at the heart of the zoo hypothesis. Perhaps we are not alone. Perhaps we are observed, but the observers choose silence, keeping us unknowing, preserving our development as one might protect a wilderness. The idea is unsettling and strangely comforting at once. Unsettling because it suggests that unseen eyes are on us. Comforting because it suggests we are not alone, only sheltered. In this vision, the silence of the cosmos is not emptiness. It is deliberate. It is restraint. Breathe slowly. Inhale the possibility of hidden presence. Exhale the weight of being watched. The zoo hypothesis emerged as one answer to Fermi's question. If civilizations are common, why don't we see them? Because they choose not to be seen. They observe without revealing themselves, waiting until we are ready, or perhaps never intending contact at all. They could surround us in ways we cannot detect, cloaked in technology far beyond ours. Their silence is not limitation, it is decision. Pause here. Reflect on how silence in your own life is sometimes a choice, not absence. A withheld word, a patient waiting, a watchful pause. Imagine the possibility. Vast civilizations spread across the stars, connected by networks we cannot fathom. They know of Earth. They have cataloged us, studied us, perhaps even debated our fate. Yet they remain quiet, allowing us to grow without interference. To them, we are young, fragile, not yet ready for contact. Like keepers at the edge of a reserve, they watch without intruding. Breathe again. Inhale the thought of hidden guardians. Exhale the humility of being small within their gaze. The James Webb Space Telescope, in its way, heightens this wonder. We built it to look outward, to search for others. But what if, as we search, we are also being seen? Webb's golden mirrors may reflect not only galaxies, but the eyes of those who already know of us. Our act of seeking could be part of what they watch. We think we are alone in observation, but perhaps we are participants in a mutual silence. Imagine Webb floating in its orbit, mirrors open to the universe. Now imagine another telescopalion, immense, older already, turned toward us. Perhaps it has been watching for centuries, millennia. It records our atmosphere, our lights, our transmissions. To us, Webb is new. To them, we are old news. Pause once more. Let yourself sit with the inversion. We who think ourselves seekers may be the sought. The zoo hypothesis carries ethical weight. If we are being observed, why no contact? Some suggest it is mercy. Interference could harm us, shock us, disrupt our growth. Others suggest it is indifference. We are too primitive, too uninteresting, too transient to warrant engagement. Still others imagine rules, a galactic law of non-interference, a cosmic version of our own wildlife protections. The silence, then, is not emptiness, but policy. Reflect on how this mirrors human behavior. We sometimes observe without intervening. We let children learn without stepping in too soon. We watch nature without always altering it. Silence can be respect, not rejection. Breathe slowly. Inhale the dignity of being left to grow. Exhale the possibility of patience from unseen others. But the hypothesis also unsettles. To be watched without knowing is to be vulnerable. What motives lie behind the silence? Mercy, indifference, control. Are we protected or contained? The fence of the reserve can be kindness, but also confinement. If the zoo hypothesis is true, then our freedom is partial. We move under a gaze we cannot meet. Imagine for a moment standing in a field at night. You sense eyes upon you, but you cannot see them. The silence becomes thick, charged, filled with unseen presence. The stars above are no longer empty, they are windows. The feeling is not solitude, but exposure. Pause here. Rest in the tension. The silence could be shelter, or it could be cage. The James Webb Space Telescope cannot confirm or deny such watching. It was not built for that. Yet the very act of building Webb reflects the same impulse to watch without announcing ourselves. We scan exoplanets, measure their air, search for life all without telling them we are here. Perhaps, then, we are already practicing the same restraint. We, too, are keepers at the edge of a cosmic zoo. Reflect on this mirror. The hypothesis is not only about them, it is about us. If we watch without speaking, why should others not do the same? Breathe again. Inhale the recognition of symmetry. Exhale the humility of mirrored motives. The zoo hypothesis is not proof, it is speculation. But speculation can deepen our sense of mystery, reminding us that silence has many meanings. Perhaps the silence is absence. Perhaps it is fragility. Or perhaps it is presence, patient and quiet. Each possibility reframes the cosmos. Each opens us to wonder. Pause once more. Let yourself feel how even unproven ideas can expand imagination. In the end, the zoo hypothesis is not about whether it is true, but about what it awakens in us. Humility, curiosity, awareness of being seen. It shifts silence from emptiness to fullness, from void to possibility. Whether or not eyes watch us, the thought itself makes the universe feel more alive, more attentive, more relational. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the fullness of hidden company. Exhale the peace of resting in wonder, even without answers. And as this chapter closes, another thought rises gently. If the silence is restraint, then what will it take for the watchers to break it, for the fence to open, for the voices to speak? Close your eyes and imagine standing at the edge of the sea. The waves roll in endless, layered, complex. To an untrained ear, it is only noise-white hiss, shapeless sound. But a musician, a biologist, a sailor would hear more. They would hear patterns, rhythms of tide, songs of whales, the subtle shift of currents. The ocean is not silent. It is too full. What seems like one sound is a symphony waiting for ears attuned to it. Perhaps the universe is like this. An ocean of signals surrounds us, but we have not yet learned how to listen. We have tuned our radios, scanned the sky, built telescopes that capture light. Yet these may be the wrong instruments, the wrong frequencies, the wrong keys. The cosmos may already be playing, speaking, singing. We simply cannot hear the music. Breathe slowly. Inhale the hum of unseen waves. Exhale the humility of our small receivers. We often think of communication as familiar. Radio pulses, laser beams, broadcasts we could decode. But other civilizations, if they exist, may not use these at all. They may send signals through particles we barely understand: neutrinos, gravitational waves, quantum entanglement. Their messages might shimmer in dimensions we cannot yet measure. To them, the universe may be alive with conversation, while to us it is quiet. We mistake fullness for silence because our ears are too narrow. Pause here. Reflect on how often in your own life you have missed signals, not because they weren't there, but because you didn't know how to interpret them. Imagine the Milky Way as a sea of voices, each star a transmitter. Some speak in radio, others in light, others in subtler forms. Around you, the conversation hums, vast and intricate. Yet, our detectors, limited and young, skim the surface like crude nets. We catch almost nothing. The noise overwhelms, and the song slips through. Breathe again. Inhale the possibility of hidden songs. Exhale the awareness of how little we hear. The James Webb Space Telescope itself is proof of this lesson. For centuries, humans looked at the stars with eyes alone. Then came optical telescopes, then radio, then X-ray and gamma ray. Each time we changed the instrument, the universe transformed. Infrared, Webb's domain, revealed what was invisible before galaxies cloaked in dust. Stars hidden in clouds, planets glowing faintly. What seemed dark became luminous. Silence became song. Imagine what will happen when we develop new senses still. A telescope that listens to gravitational waves as easily as light. A detector that decodes the language of neutrinos. An instrument that maps dark matter not as shadow but as signal. Each step will reveal a universe already humming, already alive, with messages we mistook for emptiness. Pause once more. Rest in the truth that silence is often only the limit of perception. The metaphor of music is powerful here. Imagine walking past an orchestra while wearing heavy earmuffs. The musicians play with passion, violins, cellos, flutes, drums, but to you it is only faint vibrations, a muffled blur. Remove the barrier, and the same room bursts alive with harmony. Perhaps we, too, are wearing earmuffs against the cosmos. The music is here. We simply have not yet removed the cover. Reflect now on your own life. How many symphonies surround you in small ways? Birdsong, the rustle of leaves, the rhythm of your own breath. How often do you notice them? The act of listening is as much about attention as about ability. Breathe slowly. Inhale the quiet symphonies around you. Exhale into the readiness to hear them. Some scientists suggest that even our definition of a signal is too narrow. We look for patterns we would send, structured pulses, repeated sequences, clear order. But alien intelligence may not think like us. Their signals may not look like signals to our minds at all. They may appear as random noise, overlooked data, anomalies dismissed. Perhaps they are already in our archives, buried in the static, waiting for us to recognize them. Imagine rows of data, endless numbers on screens. Somewhere within, a hidden voice waits, but we lack the key. It is like staring at a language without knowing the alphabet, meaning present but unread. Pause here. Let yourself feel the humility of unread messages. The ocean of noise also reminds us that communication is not always about intention. Civilizations may not even be trying to speak. Their activities, technologies, industries could produce signals as byproducts: infrared heat, chemical signatures, gravitational ripples. Just as Earth leaks radio and light from its cities, so might others leak signatures without meaning to. The cosmos could be filled with such unintentional songs, each planet humming faintly in its own key. Breathe again. Inhale the thought of unintentional voices. Exhale the awareness that listening requires patience, not assumption. The sadness of the ocean of noise is that we may already be surrounded, yet unaware. We are like children in a library, staring at books, but unable to read. The words are there, the knowledge is there, but without the skill, the silence persists. To grow is to learn the language, to gain the ears. Yet there is beauty in this too, for the silence is temporary. Every advance in science has been the removal of muffling the learning of new keys. The telescope, the microscope, the spectroscope were once unimaginable, now indispensable. The same will happen again. One day, what feels like silence will be revealed as chorus. Pause once more. Rest in the hope that our deafness is not permanent. But the stage of youth, the James Webb Space Telescope itself, is part of this unfolding. Already, it has transformed noise into signal. Infrared patterns that seemed like blur became planets with atmospheres, galaxies with structure, dust with history. Webb does not only listen, it teaches us how to listen. It reminds us that silence is rarely empty, it is waiting for the right instrument. Reflect one last time. How often in your own life has meaning arrived when you changed the way you listened, when you adjusted your focus, when you opened yourself to a new way of hearing? The universe, too, is waiting for us to grow into new listeners. Breathe slowly. Inhale the promise of new ears. Exhale the peace of waiting for them. As this chapter closes, imagine the cosmos as a great symphony already in progress. The strings hum, the winds rise, the percussion trembles. We are in the hall, but our ears are not yet tuned. The music surrounds us, yet we cannot yet join. The silence is illusion. The song is already there. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the fullness of the unseen symphony. Exhale the patience of awaiting the moment when we will finally hear. And as you drift onward, another thought rises. If the universe is already singing, then perhaps the truest question is not where is everyone, but when will we learn to listen? Close your eyes and step into a forest at night. The air is cool, the trees stand tall, and the path ahead is shadowed. Around you, the forest is alive with presence. Yet you hear almost nothing. No bird song, no rustle of leaves, no howl of wolves. Every creature hides, every voice hushed. You realize then, the silence is not emptiness, it is caution. In the dark forest, to reveal yourself is to risk your life. This is the metaphor behind one of the most unsettling answers to Fermi's question, the dark forest hypothesis. Perhaps the universe is full of civilizations, but each one is silent, hiding in fear. They do not broadcast, they do not announce themselves, because to speak in the dark is to invite predators. Silence becomes not tragedy, but survival. Breathe slowly. Inhale the unease of the forest. Exhale the tension of held breath. The logic is harsh, but simple. Resources in the universe are finite. Civilizations cannot know the intentions of others. To encounter another voice may be to encounter a friend, but it may also be to encounter a conqueror. In such uncertainty, caution rules. Better to remain hidden to mask your presence, to survive unseen. Pause here. Reflect on how often in your own life silence has been safety. Words unspoken, actions withheld, presence concealed. Imagine civilizations scattered across the galaxy. Each has technology, curiosity, longing. Each looks upward and wonders about company. Yet each also knows the risk. To broadcast is to announce. And so they remain quiet, listening but never speaking, waiting but never reaching. The galaxy is not empty, but muted, every voice swallowed by fear. The silence we hear is their survival strategy. Breathe again. Inhale the thought of countless watchers. Exhale the recognition that their silence mirrors our own. The James Webb Space Telescope, with its golden mirrors, does not break this silence. It listens to the light of stars, the chemistry of planets, the structure of galaxies. But it does not send signals outward, does not announce Earth. In this sense, Webb participates in the same caution. We, too, are silent in the dark forest, searching with eyes, but withholding our voice. Perhaps, instinctively, we already understand. Imagine Webb floating quietly in orbit, its mirrors open like golden leaves. It peers outward, but does not glow with message. Around it, radio telescopes scan, but the messages we send deliberately are rare, fleeting, cautious. The forest is too dark, too uncertain for loudness. Pause once more. Rest in the thought that even our silence is strategy. The dark forest hypothesis casts the great silence in a new light. We are not alone. We are surrounded, but no one dares to speak. Each civilization peers from behind the trees, seeing but unseen, waiting for others to reveal themselves first. It is a standoff stretched across the stars, a hush born not of absence, but of fear. Reflect on the unease this brings. The silence we long to end may, in truth, be the very thing keeping us alive. To break, it could be to invite danger we cannot foresee. The paradox becomes not only wonder, but warning. Breathe slowly. Inhale the caution of the forest. Exhale the humility of patience. And yet, the metaphor holds more than fear, for silence is also discipline. To withhold voice is to endure. Perhaps civilizations that survive long are those that learn restraint, that grow wise enough not to shout. Perhaps survival is less about power than about humility, less about expansion than about quiet presence. In this way, the dark forest is not only danger, but also wisdom. Pause here. Reflect on how restraint has preserved you in moments of your own life. Silence as strength, not weakness. The sadness of the dark forest hypothesis is its loneliness. If it is true, then the universe is alive with neighbors we will never meet. Our solitude is not because we are alone, but because company is too risky. We pass one another unseen, unheard, each of us surviving in shadows. The forest remains dark, not because it is empty, but because no one dares to light a lantern. Imagine walking through that forest. You sense others near footsteps, muffled, eyes glancing, presence felt, but no words come, no greetings offered. You keep walking, each of you veiled by silence. The forest is alive, yet it feels lonely. Breathe again. Inhale the paradox of hidden company. Exhale the ache of unshared presence. The James Webb Space Telescope cannot resolve this paradox. It cannot reveal motives or fears, but it does remind us that even silence is informative. The lack of signals tells us something. The absence itself is data. In this way, Webb is a lantern that illuminates not by breaking the silence, but by deepening our understanding of it. Pause once more. Rest in the knowledge that even unspoken truths still teach. The dark forest hypothesis does not close the question. It opens others. Should we remain silent forever? Should we dare to speak? Is safety found in hiding, or is it found in connection? No answer is simple. The silence becomes a mirror of our own choices, our own fears, our own hopes. Reflect for a moment in your own life. When do you hide, and when do you reveal? What risks are worth silence, and what risks are worth voice? The cosmos may ask us the same. Breathe slowly. Inhale the questions without answers. Exhale the peace of holding them gently as this chapter draws to stillness. Imagine once more the forest at night. The trees stand tall. The stars glimmer faintly through leaves. The silence is thick, but not empty. Somewhere out there, unseen, others walk as well. Each step cautious, each breath restrained. The quiet is not absence, it is survival. One last slow breath. Inhale the weight of hidden presence. Exhale into the mystery of voices withheld. Close your eyes and imagine again the forest at night. The silence is deep, almost suffocating. But now you realize it is not only caution that keeps it quiet, is danger. Hidden in the shadows are predators. They wait for any movement, any sound. To step too loudly, to call out in hope, is to risk being devoured. This is the cosmic predator hypothesis. The universe is not empty, not silent by chance, but silenced by fear. The night is alive with hunters. This vision is chilling. It suggests that civilizations do not broadcast because those who do are found and destroyed. Survival belongs to the quiet, to the hidden. The stars may sparkle serenely, but behind that beauty may lie violence, competition, hostility. The great silence, then, is not mystery. It is warning. Breathe slowly. Inhale the weight of unease. Exhale the thought of danger unseen. The logic behind this fear is stark. Resources in the cosmos are vast, but not infinite. Civilizations that spread may see others not as companions, but as threats. The first to act, the first to strike, may secure survival. The cautious may perish. In such a universe, trust is costly, and silence is safety. Pause here. Reflect on how this mirrors parts of human history. Nations and tribes often greeted strangers with suspicion. Wars began not from certainty of danger, but from fear of it. Imagine civilizations rising across the galaxy. They build, they grow, they look to the stars. One day, they decide to speak, to send a signal, to reveal themselves. For a time, the signal travels, carrying hope. But then, perhaps centuries later, an answer comes not of friendship, but of force. Their flame is snuffed out, their voice erased. Future civilizations learn. Silence is survival. Breathe again. Inhale the fragility of hope. Exhale the fear that silences it. The James Webb Space Telescope does not show us predators. Its gaze is gentle, patient, attuned to chemistry and light. Yet the very act of seeing so much possibility makes the question sharper. If the universe is so fertile, Why is it so quiet? One answer is that those who spoke were silenced. Webb reminds us of abundance. The predator hypothesis explains its stillness. Imagine Webb itself as a lantern glowing faintly in the dark. It does not broadcast loudly, but it does shine. If the cosmos is filled with hunters, our light may already be visible. We do not know if that is comfort or risk. To seek is to expose. Pause once more. Let yourself feel the tension, the desire to connect, bound by the fear of being found. The predator hypothesis casts human decisions in a new light. Should we send messages to the stars? Some argue, yes, that silence is loneliness, that we must reach out. Others argue, no, that to announce ourselves is to invite danger. We do not know which is true. The silence of the cosmos is our only clue, and it leans toward caution. Reflect for a moment on your own life. How often do you weigh the risks of revealing yourself? To speak, to trust, to open these bring connection, but also vulnerability. The cosmos may mirror the same dilemma on a vast scale. Breathe slowly. Inhale the longing for connection. Exhale the wisdom of caution. The sadness of this vision is profound. If predators roam the stars, then civilizations may be short-lived, their lights extinguished before they spread. The night sky becomes less a promise of company, more a cemetery of voices silenced. We are not alone, but we are hidden, hushed, fearful. The beauty of the stars is shadowed by threat. Imagine walking again through the forest. You know the trees hold presence, but you cannot call out. The silence is oppressive, not because nothing is there, but because everything is too dangerous to reveal itself. The stillness itself becomes a mask, a shield, a necessity. Pause again. Rest in the sorrow of a universe alive, but unsafe. And yet, the predator hypothesis also sharpens our awareness of responsibility. If we are here, if we are alive, then either we are unnoticed, or we are still small enough to be ignored. To endure, we must be cautious, but also wise. Survival may depend not only on hiding, but on restraint, on humility, on the ability to grow without announcing ourselves too soon. Reflect once more in your own life. Survival often depends on discernment, not revealing everything at once, not rushing into exposure, but waiting for the right time. The same may be true for humanity as a whole. Breathe again. Inhale the discipline of waiting. Exhale the patience of survival. The James Webb Space Telescope, in its quiet orbit, is a model of this balance. It listens deeply, sees profoundly, yet it does not shout. It is patient, hidden, careful. It teaches us that discovery does not always require exposure. We can learn much without risking all. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the weight of the dark forest filled with predators. Exhale the calm of knowing silence can still be wisdom. And as this chapter closes, another thought rises gently. If the night is not empty, but dangerous, then what will it mean for us to decide whether to remain hidden or to dare to be heard? Close your eyes and imagine a flame burning brightly in the dark. It leaps, it dances, it glows with promise. But the flame is fed too quickly, consuming its fuel faster than it can be replenished. For a time it shines brilliantly, then it sputters, falters, and dies. This is one vision of civilization, brilliance outpacing balance. Light burning too fast. The hypothesis of self-destruction suggests that civilizations across the cosmos may indeed arise, but few endure. They create technology faster than they grow wisdom. Their power grows swifter than their restraint. And so, sooner or later, they collapse by war, by exhaustion of resources, by climate, by weapons of their own invention. The silence we hear is not emptiness, but aftermath. Countless voices may have risen, but each extinguished itself. Breathe slowly. Inhale the brightness of promise. Exhale the heaviness of endings. Consider our own trajectory. In only a few centuries, humanity has leaped from horse-drawn carts to spacecraft, from candlelight to nuclear fire, from whispers in villages to global networks. We have harnessed energy, rewritten genes, reached for stars. Yet our wisdom, our ability to govern power with care, has not always kept pace. We create tools before we understand their consequences. We invent weapons before we ensure peace. We change our climate before we safeguard our future. The risk is clear. To rise swiftly is also to fall swiftly. Pause here. Reflect on how often in your own life speed has outpaced readiness, opportunity coming before preparation, change before stability. Imagine other worlds scattered across galaxies. Civilizations bloom, inventive and ambitious. They build towers, cities, machines. They reach the threshold of space travel. But then, as on Earth, their creations outstrip their wisdom. They burn forests, flood atmospheres, wage wars, poison their seas. Some destroy themselves in sudden flashes of conflict. Others fade more slowly, undone by neglect. Their brilliance glows brightly, briefly, then vanishes. Breathe again. Inhale the beauty of fleeting light. Exhale the sorrow of brilliance wasted. The James Webb Space Telescope cannot see these civilizations directly, but it reminds us of the fragility of survival. In its gaze, we see young stars forming, planets cooling, galaxies evolving. The cosmos provides possibility, yet possibility is not permanence. Just as stars exhaust their fuel, so too may civilizations exhaust their wisdom. Webb shows us the abundance of conditions, but not the endurance of those who rise within them. Imagine Webb's golden mirrors turned outward, gathering photons from ancient galaxies. Some of those galaxies may once have held civilizations that reached high, then fell. Their voices are gone, their traces erased. The light Webb sees is beautiful, but silent. Each glowing galaxy could be a graveyard. Pause once more. Rest in the thought that beauty and loss can coexist, that silence may hold echoes of what once was. Self-destruction is not only cosmic, it is intimate. On Earth, we see warnings already, weapons capable of ending nations, ecosystems fraying under strain, technologies advancing without foresight. The paradox is clear. Intelligence gives us tools to survive, but also tools to end ourselves. The higher we climb, the steeper the fall. To survive the climb requires not only invention, but wisdom, not only brilliance, but restraint. Reflect for a moment on your own flame. When has intensity burned too fast in your life? When has brilliance needed balance to endure? The metaphor of civilizations is also the metaphor of the self. To endure requires pacing, care, humility. Breathe slowly. Inhale the discipline of balance. Exhale the patience of endurance. The sadness of this hypothesis is sharp. It suggests the night sky is full, not of silence, but of absence. Countless civilizations may have lit their lanterns, only to extinguish themselves. The great void above us may be filled with ghosts of potential, dreams never carried forward. We may be surrounded not by emptiness, but by ruins, too distant, too erased for us to see. Imagine walking through a desert where ruins lie buried beneath sand. The wind howls, the sun shines, but the voices are gone. The silence is not emptiness, it is aftermath. That desert may be the galaxy itself, and we, one of the few ruins still in the making. Breathe again. Inhale the humility of fragility. Exhale the reverence for survival. And yet, the possibility of self-destruction also carries responsibility. If most civilizations fail, then survival itself becomes extraordinary. To endure is to break the pattern, to prove that brilliance need not always burn too fast. Perhaps we are not doomed to repeat the failures of others. Perhaps we can learn balance in time. The silence of the cosmos becomes not prophecy, but warning. Pause here. Let yourself feel the urgency of that warning, not as despair, but as invitation. The James Webb Space Telescope, in its patience, models this endurance. It did not rush. Decades of work, of testing, of collaboration led to its unfolding. It is fragile, but it endures in orbit, quietly gathering light year after year. It reminds us that survival requires patience, care, cooperation. Civilization, too, can endure if it learns these lessons. Reflect once more on your own choices. How do you pace your flame? How do you keep your brilliance from burning out? The metaphor of civilizations begins with the metaphor of the self. Endurance is not only collective, it is personal. Breathe slowly. Inhale the strength of restraint. Exhale the calm of lasting light. As this chapter softens, imagine the galaxy again, filled with countless worlds. Some shone briefly, then vanished. Some never rose at all. And here, on Earth, our flame still burns. We are fragile, yes, but alive. The silence around us is not proof of doom. It is a reminder that survival is rare, precious, and worth guarding. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the miracle of still being here. Exhale into the vow to carry our flame forward. And as you drift onward, another question rises. If self-destruction has silenced others, will we learn the wisdom to outlast the pattern, or will we to burn too fast? Close your eyes and imagine a message written on paper, folded carefully, and released into the wind. For a moment it floats, drifting with grace. But the wind changes, the paper tumbles, the ink smears. It lands far from its intended recipient, unread. Perhaps the universe is like this, filled with messages, but too fragile, too scattered, too changed by time and distance to ever arrive. The hypothesis of fragile communication suggests that civilizations may not be silent at all. They may have spoken, shouted, even sung across the cosmos, but their signals fade, their mediums fail, their messages scatter. By the time they reach us, they are noise indistinguishable from the background. The silence we hear is not emptiness. It is distance erasing words. Breathe slowly. Inhale the fragility of messages. Exhale the humility of distance. Radio waves for example, spread outward in every direction, weakening with distance. A broadcast strong enough to circle a planet may, across light years, dissolve into static. By the time it reaches another star, it is fainter than a whisper. Civilizations may be sending signals constantly, but space dilutes them into nothing. To expect to hear them may be to expect too much. Pause here. Reflect on how often, in your own life, words fail to reach, letters lost, conversations unheard, meanings missed. Communication is always fragile, even on Earth. Imagine stars themselves as messengers. Their light carries stories across billions of years. Yet even starlight fades, scattered by dust, stretched by expansion. If stars, immense and radiant, cannot send their messages perfectly, how fragile must be the signals of civilizations? The night sky may be alive with voices, but distance erases them. Time blurs them. Entropy consumes them. Breathe again. Inhale the persistence of starlight. Exhale the sadness of words erased. The James Webb Space Telescope embodies this tension. Its mirrors are tuned to capture faint light, the remnants of photons stretched thin across billions of years. Webb shows us what fragile signals look like, galaxies blurred, distorted, yet still carrying meaning. If civilizations sent signals long ago, perhaps Webb cannot hear them, but it reminds us that the attempt itself is fragile and noble. To send a voice into the cosmos is to trust it against impossible odds. Imagine Webb's golden mirrors, open in the cold, catching faint light. Each photon it gathers traveled unthinkable distances, dodging dust, surviving collisions, stretching with expansion. Most photons never arrive. Only a few reach its detectors. Yet those few are enough to reveal galaxies. Perhaps civilizations, too, sent countless photons, countless words, countless pulses. Most have faded. A few may still drift, but we lack the ears to separate them from noise. Pause once more. Rest in the image of scattered words, some still flying, some already lost. Fragile communication also reminds us of time. Civilizations may not last forever. Their signals may have been launched millions of years ago, but civilizations themselves may be long gone. We listen now, but the voices have ended. All that remains are echoes weak, fading, almost gone. We may hear only silence, not because no one spoke, but because their speaking has ended. Reflect on your own life. How many voices do you long to hear that are now gone? Loved ones who spoke once, but whose words are only memories. Civilizations, too, may be remembered only in silence, their messages erased by time. Breathe slowly. Inhale the poignancy of echoes. Exhale the peace of remembering. Some scientists suggest that even if signals do reach us, we may not recognize them. The universe itself is filled with noise, pulsars, quasars, the hiss of cosmic background radiation. A faint message could be buried in the ocean of noise, present but unread. We may have already heard alien voices, but dismissed them as static. Communication is not only fragile in travel, it is fragile in recognition. Imagine listening to a symphony on a broken radio, static, overwhelming every note. A violin sings faintly, but you cannot distinguish it. You hear only noise. The music is there, but the ear is not ready. Pause here. Let yourself rest in humility. The universe may be speaking, but we may not yet know how to listen. The sadness of fragile communication is quiet. It does not assume hostility, nor rarity, nor self-destruction. It assumes presence, but presence erased by time, distance, noise. The cosmos may be filled with conversations we will never hear. The silence becomes elegy, not void. We are latecomers to the dialogue, listeners without the right instruments, heirs to a sky of fading whispers. Imagine walking into a room where a great conversation has just ended. The chairs are still warm, the air still alive with resonance, but the words are gone. The speakers departed. You feel their absence, but you know they were here. The universe may be like that. Breathe again. Inhale the awareness of missed voices. Exhale the gratitude that at least we can wonder. And yet, fragile communication carries hope. If signals are fragile, then the act of sending them is even more precious. To speak across stars is an act of faith. To build transmitters, to launch messages, to trust them to the cosmos, it is an expression of longing, of connection, of courage. Even if we never hear them, their existence affirms that other beings once asked, as we do, "Are we alone?" Pause once more. Let that thought soften the silence. Even unreceived words still matter. The James Webb Space Telescope, in its quiet work, mirrors this faith. Each image it captures is a message from the past, fragile yet enduring. Even the faintest photon, arriving after billions of years, speaks across time. If stars can send such fragile messages, perhaps civilizations can too. To listen is to honor their courage, even if we never decode it. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the thought of fragile voices drifting through space. Exhale into the calm of listening, even when you hear nothing. And as this chapter closes, another question rises gently. If the silence is only fragile communication, then what instruments must we build? What patience must we hold to finally catch a word meant for us? Close your eyes and imagine a great expanse of desert. The sand stretches endlessly, dunes rising and falling in golden silence. Now and then, a cactus grows, stubborn and solitary, thriving in its isolation. Each cactus is alive, resilient, reaching upward. Yet between them lies vast distance. The desert was never meant to be crowded. Its emptiness is not failure, is design. Perhaps the universe is like this. Life may not be absent. It may simply be scattered, each oasis alone, each intelligence destined to exist in solitude. Maybe intelligence was never meant to fill the cosmos like stars. Maybe it was meant to arise rarely, to stand apart, to grow in quiet. This is the vision of being alone by design. The silence of the universe is not only a product of chance or tragedy. It may be the very structure of things, the natural state, the expected outcome. The cosmos, vast and abundant, may still choose solitude as its rhythm. Breathe slowly. Inhale the stillness of the desert. Exhale the weight of its design. When we imagine the cosmos, we often imagine it crowded with voices, with civilizations, with bustling skies. But perhaps this is projection. On Earth, cities grow, voices overlap, networks tangle. Yet this may be an exception, not the rule. The larger pattern may be different. Life may emerge in pockets, separated by gulfs too wide to bridge. Each species may live and wonder alone, not because of failure, but because that is how the universe writes its story. Pause here. Reflect on how often solitude in your own life is not emptiness, but structure moments of silence given not as punishment, but as space to grow. Imagine the Milky Way, hundreds of billions of stars, countless planets. Yet, if intelligence is rare by design, then perhaps only one, here and now, holds a mind capable of asking these questions. Not because others were silenced, not because others failed, but because the design itself allows only one candle at a time. Breathe again. Inhale the awe of uniqueness. Exhale the calm of being solitary. The James Webb Space Telescope is our lantern in this solitude. With its mirrors, it listens across the darkness. It seeks other candles, other signs of thought, other sparks of intention. And yet, if the universe is designed for solitude, Webb may find none. Its silence will not be failure. It will be confirmation that we are as we were meant to be, alone, but still alive. Imagine Webb floating in orbit, golden petals open. It scans star fields, exoplanets, galaxies beyond count. The data flows rich and beautiful, but nowhere does it find another voice. Its silence becomes not despair, but acceptance. The vastness was never meant to be filled with chatter. It was always meant to be mostly quiet, with only rare, solitary sparks. Pause once more. Rest in the thought that quiet itself may be natural, not flaw, but rhythm. Being alone by design carries both weight and wonder. On one hand, it is loneliness, no other minds to meet, no other voices to join ours. On the other, it is privilege, our perspective unique, our existence unshared, our journey ours alone. To be rare is to be precious. To be solitary is to be irreplaceable. Reflect on this duality. How often in your life has solitude brought both ache and beauty? Loneliness, yes, but also clarity, freedom, uniqueness. The cosmos may hold us in the same balance. Breathe slowly. Inhale the ache of loneliness. Exhale the gift of rarity. Some scientists argue that life itself requires too many coincidences to be common. A planet must sit at the right distance from its star, with the right chemistry, the right stability, the right balance of chaos and calm. Even then, intelligence may be harder still, an accident of accidents, a narrow path walked by chance. If this is so, then perhaps the universe is not silent out of malice or fragility, but because the odds were never meant to produce more than a few voices. Imagine rolling dice across a table, not once, but trillions of times. Most rolls are ordinary. Some fail completely, a few succeed slightly. But the roll that creates intelligence is rarest of all, like rolling not just sixes, but sixes on 1,000,000 dice at once. The rarity itself may be part of the design, the universe ensuring solitude as the default. Pause again. Let yourself feel the immensity of improbability and the wonder of being the exception. The sadness of this vision is clear. If we are alone by design, then the night sky will never return an answer. We will look, we will listen, but no reply will come. Our longing will remain unanswered, not because others refuse, but because others do not exist. Our solitude will be endless, and yet there is comfort here, too. For if we are alone, then our voice is singular, unshared, ours to carry without interruption. We are not one among millions, we are one among none. Our story is unique. Our perspective is unmatched. The silence gives us not emptiness, but a stage. Breathe again. Inhale the sorrow of unanswered questions. Exhale the beauty of being a solitary flame. The James Webb Space Telescope reminds us that solitude does not mean insignificance. Its images show us galaxies blossoming, stars forming, planets glowing. We are alone, perhaps, but we are part of this beauty. Our solitude does not separate us from the cosmos. It binds us to it. For if intelligence is rare, then each spark is more connected to the whole. We are the eyes and ears of the universe, awake within its quiet. Imagine Webb's mirrors, again, open to the dark. Each photon it gathers is ancient, fragile, precious. Each carries a story from stars long gone. In the same way, our intelligence is fragile, precious, rare. The photons arrive because they were meant to rare, but real. Our thoughts, too, may be rare, but they are here. That is enough. Pause once more. Rest in the acceptance that rarity itself is beauty. Alone by design does not mean abandoned. It means gifted with a perspective no other shares. It means tasked with cherishing what we are, because we may be the only ones to hold it. Loneliness transforms into responsibility, to endure, to preserve, to carry awareness forward. Reflect again on your own life. Solitude often brings responsibility, the need to care for yourself, to sustain your own flame, to listen inward. The cosmos may ask the same of us. Breathe slowly. Inhale the responsibility of being rare. Exhale the gratitude of being here. As this chapter softens, imagine the desert again. The cactus stands tall, alone, resilient. The sand stretches endlessly. The sky is wide, the silence deep. Yet, in that solitude, the cactus thrives. It was never meant to be one among many. It was meant to be itself, unique, singular, rare. So too may we be. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the quiet of design. Exhale into the peace of being solitary. And as you drift onward, another question rises. If solitude is the design, then what does it mean for us to carry the burden and the gift of being the only voice? Close your eyes and imagine walking through ancient ruins. Stones crumble, walls lean, inscriptions fade. Once, this place was alive, filled with voices, footsteps, songs, and laughter. Now it is silent. The silence is not emptiness. It is aftermath. The weight of absence speaks as loudly as presence once did. Perhaps the universe itself is like this, a vast expanse of ruins. The voices long gone, the civilization's dust. This is the dead universe hypothesis. It suggests that life was not always rare. Civilizations may have flourished in ages past, rising, building, reaching for the stars, but their time ended. Catastrophes came, or decline crept in, or entropy claimed them. Now, all that remains is silence. The night sky is not promise, but cemetery. Breathe slowly. Inhale the ghost of possibility. Exhale the weight of endings. The cosmos is old 13.8 billion years. Humanity, by comparison, is young. We have only just begun to look outward. But what if we are too late? Civilizations may have risen billions of years ago, when the galaxy was young, when stars were fertile, when time allowed for growth. They may have spread, flourished, filled space with voices. Yet eons passed, stars burned out, worlds changed, empires collapsed. By the time we opened our eyes, their time had ended. Pause here. Reflect on how often in your life you arrive too late to hear a story fully told, too late to meet someone who has already left. Imagine the Milky Way filled with civilizations that bloomed and fell. Some may have lasted centuries, others millions of years. They may have built wonders beyond our imagining, reached heights beyond our grasp. But now they are gone. Their ruins are dust, their signals faded, their stories erased by time. The silence we hear is not emptiness. It is aftermath, the hush of a universe that once lived loudly, but now has grown still. Breathe again. Inhale the awe of what once may have been. Exhale the grief of what is no longer. The James Webb Space Telescope sees far into the past. Every photon it gathers carries ancient stories, light billions of years old. When Webb peers at galaxies, it sees them not as they are now, but as they were long ago. Perhaps some of those galaxies once carried civilizations. Perhaps the light Webb sees is already their epitaph, their silent memorial. The light glows, but the voices behind it are gone. Imagine Webb floating in orbit, catching faint photons across the void. Each one has survived billions of years of travel, only to arrive at our detectors now. Yet behind those photons may lie worlds long dead, cultures long vanished, voices long silenced. We look back at them, but they cannot look forward to us. Pause once more. Rest in the poignancy of light that endures when life does not. The dead universe hypothesis reframes silence as inevitability. It does not assume hostility, nor fragility of signals, nor uniqueness of Earth. It assumes abundance, but abundance lost. Civilizations rose, but time devoured them. The second law of thermodynamics, entropy, applies not only to stars and galaxies, but to societies. Everything tends toward disorder. The silence we hear is the natural outcome of time. Reflect for a moment in your own life. How often has time itself been the force that changed things IRS, ending not by choice, but by inevitability? The cosmos, too, may obey this rhythm. Breathe slowly. Inhale the rhythm of cycles. Exhale the inevitability of endings. The sadness of this vision is profound. It suggests we are latecomers to a party already over. We stand in the empty hall. The decorations faded, the music stopped, the guests departed. We long to meet others, but they are gone. The silence is not mystery. It is history, and yet there is also comfort. For if others came before us, then intelligence is possible. Life is possible. Civilizations are possible. We are not alone in principle. We are only alone in time. Their existence, though gone, affirms that we are part of a greater pattern. Others walked this path before us. We are not pioneers in the void. We are inheritors of a tradition too old to remember. Pause here. Rest in the comfort that even vanished voices prove we are not impossible. The James Webb Space Telescope becomes, then, a kind of archaeologist. It does not uncover ruins of stone, but but ruins of light. Its images are time capsules, snapshots of the universe when it was young. Through Webb, we glimpse not only what is, but what may have been. The faint galaxies, the glowing clusters, the filaments of dust, these may hold echoes of civilizations gone, their time marked only in the photons we catch. Imagine Webb's mirrors as careful hands, brushing dust from ancient inscriptions. Each photon is a fragment of history, fragile, precious. Perhaps we will never know the names or stories behind them, but still we listen. Still we hold them close. Breathe again. Inhale the reverence of archaeology. Exhale the humility of mystery. The dead universe hypothesis also carries warning. If civilizations before us vanished, then so might we. Time may claim us. Entropy may undo us. Collapse may erase us. The silence we hear may not only be their aftermath, it may be our future. To endure is not guaranteed. To escape the fate of others requires balance, wisdom, cooperation. Reflect again on your own flame. How do you pace it? How do you guard it against burnout? Civilizations, like individuals, require care to endure. Breathe slowly. Inhale the vigilance of survival. Exhale the hope of continuation. As this chapter closes, imagine again the ruins, stones cracked, inscriptions faint, silence deep. Yet in their silence there is beauty, for they remind us that others once lived, once dreamed, once reached. The night sky may be a graveyard, yes, but even graveyards are filled with memory, with evidence of life once vibrant. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the presence of ghosts. Exhale into the peace of remembering them. And as you drift onward, another thought rises gently. If the universe is a graveyard, then what will it mean for us to choose whether we, too, will leave only ruins or whether our story can endure longer than those before us? Close your eyes and imagine walking through a forest. Birds sing in intricate patterns. Insects hum. Trees exchange whispers through roots and fungi. You are surrounded by life, but if you did not know what to look for, you might see only trees, hear only noise, sense only wind. The life is here, but unrecognized. Perhaps the universe is the same. Perhaps we are already surrounded by life, but hidden in forms we do not yet understand. This is the hypothesis of hidden in plain sight. It suggests that life may not always resemble biology as we know it. Not all minds may be made of flesh, not all voices of air, not all thoughts of neurons. Life may be woven into stars, encoded in plasma, written in magnetic fields, flowing in the invisible architecture of dark matter. Our neighbors may be present, vast and luminous, but we do not yet have the eyes to see them. Breathe slowly. Inhale the possibility of hidden forms. Exhale the humility of our narrow view. For centuries, humanity assumed Earth was the center of the cosmos. Only with time did we realize we orbit a star, and our star orbits in a galaxy, and our galaxy is one among billions. Perhaps another such shift awaits us, not about place, but about form. We assume life must resemble us, cellular, biochemical, but perhaps this is only one expression of life, as a violin is only one instrument in a symphony. The orchestra may be playing around us, but we are tuned to only one voice. Pause here. Reflect on how often in your own life you have misjudged presence, overlooked someone, dismissed something not because it was absent, but because you could not yet recognize it. Imagine stars themselves as alive, not alive like us, but alive in ways unimaginable, conscious through fusion, aware through magnetic storms, thinking in pulses of light. A star's lifespan stretches billions of years. Perhaps its thoughts do. To us, stars shine silently, but to themselves they may sing slow and vast. If intelligence lies within them, then we are surrounded by minds hidden in plain sight. Breathe again. Inhale the brilliance of starlight. Exhale the humility of not knowing its true source. Or imagine dark matter, the invisible web that binds galaxies together. We cannot see it, cannot touch it, cannot measure it directly, yet it shapes the cosmos. What if its patterns are not merely structure, but computation? What if dark matter is alive, thinking slowly, spread across scales so vast that we mistake its mind for background? The silence we hear may not be silence at all, it may be conversation, but in frequencies and scales too wide for us to comprehend. Pause once more. Rest in the awe of neighbors so vast they become the very fabric of the universe. The James Webb Space Telescope already reveals the unseen. It peers in infrared, uncovering galaxies once hidden by dust, stars still forming, planets faintly glowing. Webb teaches us that invisibility does not mean absence, it only means we lacked the right instrument. If Webb could unveil so much with one shift of wavelength, imagine what else lies hidden, waiting for senses we have not yet invented. Imagine Webb's mirrors, gathering light that to us is faint, but in another framework may be full of language. Perhaps we are already reading messages, but mistaking them for dust maps, galaxy counts, chemical lines. The cosmos may be filled with structure that is not structure, but story. Reflect for a moment in your own life. How often has meaning emerged only later? When you learned to interpret what you had once dismissed as noise, breathe slowly. Inhale the patience of interpretation. Exhale the humility of delayed recognition. Hidden life may not even seek us. If it exists in stars, in plasmas, in magnetic fields, it may not need communication as we do. It may not measure time in seconds or years, but in millennia or eons. To such beings, our civilizations may flicker too fast to notice, like sparks flashing and vanishing in the blink of a cosmic eye. We may be the unseen ones, the overlooked presences. Imagine an oak tree watching seasons pass, birds nesting and departing, storms raging and fading. To the tree, these movements are swift, transient, almost invisible. To hidden life in stars, we may be like those birds, passing, flickering, barely noticed. Breathe again. Inhale the perspective of slowness. Exhale the smallness of our spark. The sadness of hidden life is bittersweet. If it surrounds us, then we are not alone. But if we cannot perceive it, cannot speak with it, then we remain lonely within abundance. The silence remains, not because others are absent, but because we cannot share in their presence. The forest is full, but we walk through it, deaf to the songs, blind to the dances. Pause here. Rest in the melancholy of being surrounded, yet estranged. And yet, this vision also carries beauty, for it reminds us that the universe is richer than we know. Our solitude may be temporary, a symptom of youth. As our science grows, our ears may widen, our eyes may sharpen. One day, what we now call silence may bloom into chorus. To live in such anticipation is itself a gift. To know that mystery still remains, that discovery still awaits, that wonder is not exhausted. Reflect again. How often in your life has something once hidden later revealed itself, transforming your understanding? The cosmos, too, may hold such transformations in waiting. Breathe slowly. Inhale the hope of hidden voices. Exhale the peace of not yet knowing. The James Webb Space Telescope stands at the threshold of such recognition. Already, it has transformed dust into clarity, blur into structure, silence into song. Perhaps one day an even greater instrument will transform what we now call emptiness into presence. Until then, we listen and we wonder. As this chapter closes, imagine the forest once more. The trees stand tall, the birds sing, the insects hum, the roots whisper. You walk through it, unsure, unable to hear fully, but you know, somehow, you are not alone. The presence is here, even if you cannot yet recognize it. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the abundance hidden in silence. Exhale into the calm of walking humbly among unseen neighbors. And as you drift onward, another question rises. If life is hidden in plain sight, then what new senses must we grow to finally see the companions already with us? Close your eyes and imagine a vast hall, its roof arched high, its floors polished stone. You step inside, expecting echoes, expecting whispers, expecting voices from unseen corners. Instead, you hear nothing. The silence is so complete that it becomes heavy, like a presence in itself. You wait for sound, but the sound does not come. And then you realize the silence is not failure. It is the answer. Perhaps the universe is like this hall. We listen, we wait, we hope. But what greets us is not conversation, not voices, not signals, but silence. And perhaps that silence is itself the response. Not absence, but message. Not failure, but truth. Breathe slowly. Inhale the stillness of the hall. Exhale the weight of silence as meaning. For decades, we have pointed radio dishes at the stars, straining for a signal. We have sent probes, messages, greetings, etched into gold. We have listened for whispers across the cosmic dark. But what has come back? Nothing. And this nothing may not be a temporary pause. It may be the essence of the message itself. The absence of reply could be the universe telling us, you are rare, or you are alone, or you are too fragile to last. Pause here. Reflect on your own life. How often has silence in a conversation been as telling as words? A pause, an absence, a withheld response, these to our answers. The silence may mean rarity. Perhaps life is possible, but intelligence is vanishingly uncommon. The cosmos is vast, yes, but even vastness cannot guarantee repetition of something so delicate, so improbable. The silence says, you are rare. A flame lit in one corner of the desert, but nowhere else. Or the silence may mean doom. Perhaps life arises often. Civilizations bloom, but each collapses before it can spread, before it can last long enough to meet another. The silence says, they all burned too fast, and you may too. It is not absence you hear, but warning, or the silence may mean solitude by design. Perhaps we are alone, not by accident, but by intention. The silence says, there is no one else, and there will be no one else. You are not overlooked. You are singular. Breathe again. Inhale the weight of each possibility. Exhale into the humility of not knowing which is true. The James Webb Space Telescope extends our ears and our eyes, catching the faintest light, mapping the earliest galaxies. Yet even it cannot break the silence. It shows us abundance, billions of galaxies, billions of stars, but no voices, no signatures of life. In its golden mirrors we see beauty, but not company. Its silence deepens the answer. That abundance does not guarantee neighbors. Imagine Webb floating in the darkness, collecting photons like a patient scribe. Each photon tells of chemistry, of stars, of galaxies, of structure. None tell of conversation. The universe writes books, but none are letters addressed to us. Pause once more. Rest in the truth that silence itself shapes the story. The silence as answer carries both sorrow and clarity. It is sorrowful because it means our longing may remain unanswered forever. The great questioner, we alone, may never receive more than this silence in return. But it is also clarity because it forces us inward. If there are no other voices, then ours matters all the more. If there is no one else, then we are not only listeners, we are the speakers. The silence gives us both burden and gift. Reflect here. In your own life, how often has solitude forced you to grow, to create, to hold responsibility? Silence may be heavy, but it may also empower. Breathe slowly. Inhale the sorrow of longing. Exhale the strength of responsibility. The silence may also be mercy, for if voices existed, they may not be kind. Predators may lurk. Dangers may wait. Silence may shield us from exposure. The absence of signals may be the universe's way of sparing us, not emptiness, but protection. In this way, the silence becomes not only answer, but safeguard. Imagine walking through a dark forest once again. You hear no animals, no footsteps, no rustles. You may feel fear at first, but perhaps the silence means you are safe for now. The predators are elsewhere. The quiet protects you. Pause again. Rest in the thought that silence may be kindness in disguise. The James Webb Space Telescope cannot tell us which version is true, but it reminds us that silence itself has texture. It is not blank. It is layered with history, with probability, with physics. To listen to silence is still to learn. The absence of signals is data. The lack of voices is itself a map of possibility. Reflect once more. How often in your life have unanswered questions still shaped your path? Even without response, the asking has power. The silence gives direction, if not reply. Breathe again. Inhale the patience of unanswered questions. Exhale the peace of still asking them as this chapter softens. Imagine the universe once more. Stars shine, galaxies spin, dust drifts, planets orbit. All of it unfolds in quiet. We listen, we wait, we wonder. And the silence persists like a deep note humming beneath all of existence. The silence itself is the answer. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the clarity of stillness. Exhale into the calm of knowing the message is already here. And as you drift onward, Another question rises gently. If silence is the answer, then what will we do with it? Will we fill it with our own voice, or will we rest in its truth? Close your eyes and imagine standing before a still lake at night. The stars scatter across the surface, reflected in silence. You lean closer, searching for depth, for hidden shapes beneath the water. Instead, you see your own face. The reflection does not lit returns, not the stars, but yourself. Perhaps the universe is like this lake. In searching outward, in asking where the voices are, we are also gazing inward. The great silence is not only about others, it is about us. Each hypothesis we invent predators, fragility, self-destruction. Solitude reveals less about what is out there and more about what we fear within. Breathe slowly. Inhale the recognition of the mirror. Exhale the weight of your own reflection. When we speak of predators in the dark forest, we are really speaking of our own history wars, fought in shadows, preemptive strikes, suspicion of strangers. When we imagine civilizations burning too fast, we are really speaking of ourselves, our climate warming, our weapons multiplying, our wisdom struggling to keep pace. When we fear loneliness by design, we are really whispering our own dread of solitude, our own longing for company. The universe is silent, but it reflects our anxieties clearly. Pause here. Reflect on how often your fears about the world reveal more about your own heart than about the world itself. The mirror of fear. Hypothesis suggests that Fermi's paradox is not only a scientific puzzle, but a psychological one. We imagine predators because we know the predator within us. We imagine collapse because we see our own fragility. We imagine silence as warning because we sense our own capacity for failure. The cosmos does not accuse us, we accuse ourselves, projecting our anxieties into the stars. Breathe again. Inhale the humility of recognition. Exhale the tension of projection. The James Webb Space Telescope, with its golden mirrors, does not reflect our faces, but in a way it does. Its images stir awe, but also unease. When Webb shows us thousands of galaxies in a single frame, we marvel at abundance. But we also feel the weight of our smallness, the precariousness of being one mind among so many stars. Its images comfort us, but they also confront us with the enormity of what we do not control. The telescope is a mirror, not of fear alone, but of fragility, of longing, of our hunger to endure. Imagine Webb floating in silence, its mirrors open like petals, gathering light billions of years old. We celebrate its beauty, but beneath that celebration is our fear that in all that light, no one else shines back at us. The images dazzle, but the silence remains. Pause once more. Rest in the truth that wonder and fear are often intertwined. The silence as mirror asks us to consider, why do we long so deeply for others? Why do we find the idea of aloneness unbearable? Perhaps because we know how fragile we are. Civilizations on Earth have risen and fallen. Species have flourished and vanished. We know, intimately, the brevity of survival. To imagine company in the stars is to imagine reassurance, confirmation that we are not doomed to be alone, not doomed to vanish unnoticed. And so, when the silence answers, we hear our fears reflected. We hear, perhaps you are alone, perhaps you will vanish, perhaps you too will be forgotten. The cosmos becomes not a void, but a mirror, showing us the truths we whisper in the quiet hours of our own lives. Breathe slowly. Inhale the ache of vulnerability. Exhale the courage of recognition. History reminds us that fear has always shaped human exploration. When sailors first crossed oceans, they feared monsters at the edges of maps. When astronomers looked through early telescopes, they feared what new worlds might mean for faith and order. Fear is not failure, it is companion. It drives caution, it sharpens survival, it forces humility. In searching the stars, our fears are magnified, projected outward. We imagine monsters not because they are certain, but because we know the shadows within us. Pause here. Reflect on how your own fears often serve as guides, as warnings, as guardians of your limits. The sadness of the mirror of fear is its intimacy. It suggests that much of what we believe about others is only about ourselves. The galaxy may be neutral, indifferent, silent by nature. Yet we fill that silence with our anxieties, painting predators in the dark, collapses in the distance, solitude in the sky. The paradox becomes a story not of the universe, but of humanity. Imagine again the lake at night. You lean over, searching for others in its depths, but the only face you see is your own. The stars shimmer above, but the water reflects only what is near. The silence of the cosmos may be like this. What we hear in it is not their story, but ours. Breathe again. Inhale the closeness of your own reflection. Exhale the gentleness of acceptance. Yet this vision is not without hope. For if the silence reflects our fears, it also invites us to face them. To survive predators, we must overcome our own predatory instincts. To outlast collapse, we must learn patience, restraint, cooperation. To ease loneliness, we must learn to cherish each other here on this fragile world. The silence becomes not only mirror, but teacher. What we project outward, we can also resolve inward. Reflect once more. How often have your fears challenged you to grow, to change, to strengthen? The cosmos may be offering the same invitation, hidden in its quiet. The James Webb Space Telescope does not quiet our fears, but it helps us reframe them. It shows us beauty without company, abundance without voices, light without reply. And in that beauty, we learn that even without answers, meaning persists. The silence may reflect fear, but fear need not end the story. Fear can become motivation, a call to guard what we have, to endure longer than those imagined civilizations that failed. Pause again. Rest in the possibility that silence itself is a gift, forcing us to turn inward before we look too far outward. As this chapter softens, imagine the lake once more. You stand before it, stars above, reflection below. You lean closer, and though you see your own face, you also see possibility. The mirror is not only fear, it is clarity. It reveals fragility, yes, but also resilience. It shows your limits, but also your potential. In seeing yourself reflected, you are given a chance to grow. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the wisdom of the mirror. Exhale into the peace of knowing the paradox is also about us. And as you drift onward, another thought rises gently. If the silence reflects our fears, then what might it also reveal about our hopes? Close your eyes and imagine a quiet theater before the curtain rises. The seats are filled, The lights dim, the audience waiting. No one speaks, no music plays, no movement breaks the stillness. Yet the silence is not emptiness, it is anticipation. Something is about to happen. Perhaps the universe is like this theater. The silence we hear is not absence, but waiting. This is the idea of waiting in the dark. Civilizations may exist, perhaps many of them, but they are not rushing to reveal themselves. They are patient, cautious, deliberate. They may be watching us already, waiting to see if we mature, if we endure, if we are ready to join the larger conversation. The silence is not rejection. It is the pause before the first word. Breathe slowly. Inhale the hush of anticipation. Exhale the calm of waiting. When children are born, parents do not immediately hand them the keys to the house or the full weight of responsibility. They wait until the child grows, learns, proves readiness. Perhaps older civilizations treat younger ones the same. They do not reveal themselves to us, not because they do not exist, but because they wait for us to grow. The silence becomes test, preparation, lesson. Pause here. Reflect on your own life. How often has waiting been necessary before trust was given, before responsibility was shared, before connection deepened? Imagine civilizations thousands or millions of years older than us. Their technologies may be beyond our imagination. Their wisdom may be vast. To them, we are new, fragile, still uncertain. We have only just begun to send signals, to build telescopes, to explore beyond our atmosphere. We are still learning how to survive our own inventions, how to cooperate across borders, how to guard the planet that sustains us. To them, perhaps, we are not ready, and so they wait. Breathe again. Inhale the humility of youth. Exhale the patience of growth. The James Webb Space Telescope is like our first attempt to peek behind the curtain. With its golden mirrors, we reach for the faintest light, searching for signs of company. Webb shows us galaxies in bloom, planets with atmosphere, stars in cradles of dust. It is our way of saying, softly, we are here. We are ready to learn. Perhaps the universe is listening. Perhaps it waits for us to grow a little more before responding. Imagine Webb gathering photons from billions of years ago. In each frame, we see beginning stars forming galaxies, assembling. In the same way, older civilizations may see us as beginnings. They may watch us as we watch newborn stars, waiting to see what we will become. Rest in the possibility that we are seen, even if we do not yet hear a reply. Waiting in the dark is not only about others, it is also about us. We may not be ready to hear, even if signals exist. Imagine a message encoded in mathematics, physics, or something stranger still. Would we recognize it? Would we understand its meaning? Or would we dismiss it as noise, overlook it as anomaly? Perhaps the messages are already here, but our ears are still too narrow, our minds too untrained. We may still be children listening to an adult's speech, hearing sound but not grasping meaning. Reflect here. How often in your own life have you heard words you could not yet understand, lessons that became clear only years later? Breathe slowly. Inhale the patience of delayed understanding. Exhale the peace of readiness unfolding in its time. The sadness of waiting is its slowness. We long for contact, for confirmation, for company, yet the universe may not hurry. Civilizations older than ours may measure time differently, in spans of millennia, in cycles of stars. To them, 1,000 years of our silence is a blink, a pause hardly worth remarking. They may be waiting for signs not of our curiosity, but of our endurance. Can we last long enough to prove worthy of reply? Imagine standing at the edge of a vast canyon, calling out. Your voice echoes back after a long delay. The silence between call and reply feels endless. Yet the reply is still coming. It simply takes time. The universe may be like that canyon. Our call has gone out, faint and small. The reply, if it exists, may not arrive for centuries. We are waiting in the echo. Pause again. Rest in the thought that silence may not be denial, only delay. And yet, waiting has its own wisdom. It teaches us patience, resilience, humility. If the universe waits for us, then perhaps the gift is not in the answer, but in the time it gives us to grow. To prepare ourselves for company, we must first learn to care for our world, to master our conflicts, to cherish our fragility. Waiting forces us inward, to solve our own paradoxes before we join others. The pause is not wasted, is formative. Reflect once more. How often has waiting shaped you? How often has the pause between desire and fulfillment been the very space where you grew? The cosmos may be doing the same for us now. The James Webb Space Telescope reflects this patience. It took decades to build, years to launch, months to unfold. Scientists waited carefully, step by step, before its mirrors blossomed in the dark. Its success depended on waiting, on restraint, on careful timing. And when, at last, it opened, it revealed more than we imagined. In the same way, the universe's silence may be the slow unfolding of something immense. Imagine Webb's mirrors as symbols of patience, each unfolding carefully, no step rushed, no sequence skipped. Now imagine civilizations older than us, unfolding their contact with the same care. They will not rush. They will wait for us to be ready. Breathe again. Inhale the wisdom of patience. Exhale the calm of trust as this chapter closes. Imagine once more the theater before the curtain rises. The audience waits. The silence is deep. You long for the music to begin, but it does not yet. The waiting is part of the performance. It builds anticipation. It creates readiness. It makes the moment of beginning more profound. Perhaps the universe is in such a pause with us. The silence is not absence. It is waiting. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the quiet of patience. Exhale into the calm of knowing the pause has purpose. And as you drift onward, another question rises gently. If the universe is waiting in the dark, then what must we become before it finally speaks? Close your eyes and imagine standing on a vast plain beneath a star-filled sky. The air is still. The land stretches endlessly. The horizon fades into darkness. You call out softly at first, then louder still. The sound echoes against nothing, returning only to yourself. You wait, listening for a reply. None comes. At last, you realize the scariest answer is not that others are hiding or destroyed or waiting, but that no one else is there. This is the stark possibility at the heart of the great silence. We are alone, not temporarily, not conditionally, but finally. No civilizations to meet, no voices to answer, no companions in the vast dark. The silence is not a puzzle to be solved. It is the truth itself. Breathe slowly. Inhale the weight of solitude. Exhale the fragility of recognition. The universe is immense, billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars, each with countless planets. The numbers suggest company. The statistics imply abundance. And yet, every search, every attempt, every telescope has returned silence. Perhaps probability is not promise. Perhaps even in such vastness, we are singular. A candle lit once, here, in this corner of the cosmos, and nowhere else. Pause here. Reflect on how often in your own life numbers promised one thing, yet reality gave another. Abundance does not always mean fulfillment. The scariest answer is heavy because it means the universe does not hide its neighbors. It simply has none. We are not overlooked. We are not ignored. We are the only flame burning in an endless desert of stars. The silence is not cruelty. It is reality. Imagine galaxies as islands scattered across a cosmic ocean. You sail from shore to shore, scanning the horizon for another light, another ship, another voice. Each horizon reveals only waves, no sails, no lanterns, no companions. The ocean is beautiful, but it is empty. The journey becomes not exploration, but solitude. Inhale the beauty of the stars. Exhale the loneliness of the voyage. The James Webb Space Telescope deepens this possibility. Its golden mirrors reveal galaxies from the dawn of time. Planets circling distant suns, light stretched thin across billions of years. Yet, in all this richness, no voices appear. Webb shows us beauty without company, abundance without neighbors. The silence deepens, sharpens, becomes answer. Imagine Webb floating in space, gathering photons that have traveled for eons. Each photon is a survivor, carrying history, chemistry, structure. But none carry conversation. None say, "We are here too." Webb's silence is profound. It is the universe's own reply. Stillness, emptiness, quiet. Pause once more. Rest in the truth that sometimes the absence is the message. The scariest answer terrifies us because it confronts our longing. For centuries, humans have dreamed of companions in the stars, gods, angels, aliens, neighbors. We have written stories, sung songs, built telescopes. To be alone is to face the possibility that the cosmos does not share our longing, that our questions echo forever unanswered, that our loneliness is permanent. And yet, to face this possibility is also to face ourselves. If we are alone, then all responsibility falls to us. To preserve life, to nurture intelligence, to carry awareness forward. We are the stewards not only of Earth, but of consciousness itself. There is no one else to share the burden, no one else to carry the flame. We are fragile, but we are also profound. Reflect for a moment on your own life. How often have you feared being alone, only to find that solitude also gave you strength? Loneliness is heavy, but it can also sharpen purpose. Breathe slowly. Inhale the ache of solitude. Exhale the clarity of responsibility. The scariest answer also reframes silence as gift. If we are alone, then our perspective is unique, unshared, irreplaceable. Every story we write, every song we sing, every discovery we make becomes the only version of itself in all of creation. Our loneliness gives us meaning. We are not one among many. We are one among none. Imagine again the vast plain beneath the stars. You call out, and no one answers. The silence hurts, but it also frees you. For in that silence, you realize your voice is the only one. It is precious. It is unrepeatable. It must endure. Pause again. Rest in the paradox that fear and wonder often share the same silence. The James Webb Space Telescope, in this context, becomes not a bridge to others, but a mirror of ourselves. It shows us beauty without companions, reminding us that even if we are alone, the cosmos remains magnificent. The silence does not erase the wonder. The emptiness does not cancel the light. If anything, it sharpens it. Beauty without witness is still beauty. Meaning without neighbors is still meaning. Imagine Webb's mirrors catching galaxies too far for any life to have touched, too vast for any voice to have crossed. We look, we marvel, we learn. The silence is heavy, but the wonder endures. Breathe again. Inhale the beauty of solitude. Exhale the peace of acceptance. The scariest answer may be that no one else has come, and no one else will come, that we are utterly alone. But to face this possibility is to awaken to our own importance. If we are the only flame, then we must guard it fiercely. If we are the only voice, then we must sing with care. If we are the only questioners, then we must continue to ask. The silence does not diminish us. It magnifies our responsibility. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the fragility of this truth. Exhale into the strength it gives you. And as this chapter closes, imagine once more the plain beneath the stars. The silence stretches, endless, eternal. It may be the final answer, but within it, your own voice still rises, soft yet real, carrying the weight of being the only one. Close your eyes and picture yourself standing beneath the night sky one last time. The stars are bright, scattered like seeds across endless dark. You have walked through silence, through fear, through possibility and absence. You have imagined predators, ruins, hidden neighbors, and solitude by design. Each chapter has been a path, each idea a lantern. And now, at the end, one truth remains. No matter the answer, you still choose wonder. This is the gentle conclusion of the paradox, not resolution, but choice. Whether the universe is crowded or barren, dangerous or kind, alive with hidden minds or utterly silent, we can still ask the question. We can still look upward. We can still wonder. The silence does not forbid this. It invites it. Breathe slowly. Inhale the weight of every possibility. Exhale into the freedom of curiosity. The scariest answer, as you have considered, is that we are alone. But even if that is true, even if the silence is final, there is still awe in the fact that we can ask, still beauty in the act of wondering. To stand on a small planet, around a modest star, in a galaxy among billions, and to raise your eyes to the dark that is hope itself. The question is not only about others, it is about us. Pause here. Reflect on your own life. How often has asking a question, even without an answer, carried you forward, given you purpose, made you more alive? The choice of wonder is an act of resilience. It says, even if no one answers, I will keep asking. Even if no one joins, I will keep singing. Even if no reply ever comes, the act of reaching outward matters. Wonder does not require an answer. It requires only openness. Imagine a child walking along the beach, gathering shells. The tide comes and goes. The sea does not speak back, yet the child continues, each shell a discovery, each step a joy. The ocean's silence does not diminish the search. It makes it more precious. Perhaps the cosmos is the same. Breathe again. Inhale the simplicity of searching. Exhale the calm of not needing reply. The James Webb Space Telescope embodies this spirit. It was built not with the promise of finding others, but with the promise of deepening wonder. Its mirrors unfold, its instruments hum, its data streams back, and what it gives us is not finality, but beauty. Galaxies like flowers, stars in cradles of dust, light stretched from the dawn of time. Webb does not end the question, it nourishes it. Its silence is luminous. Imagine Webb floating in orbit, golden petals open, catching light that left its source billions of years ago. Each photon is not a message to us. It is simply light. And yet, by receiving it, we transform it into meaning. The telescope reminds us, wonder is not about answers. It is about how we choose to see. Pause once more. Rest in the truth that beauty alone can be enough. Choosing wonder anyway is also about humility. The universe may never give us answers, or it may give them long after we are gone. Our span is short, our tools fragile, our perspective narrow. But wonder allows us to live fully within what we have. We need not possess certainty to feel awe. We need not hear voices to sense belonging. To wonder is to belong already, for it ties us to the whole. Reflect for a moment. How often in your life has uncertainty itself been beautiful? Not knowing the outcome, but living in the question. Not reaching the end, but savoring the journey. The cosmos is the same. Breathe slowly. Inhale the openness of uncertainty. Exhale the peace of being part of it. The silence may frighten us. Yes, it may weigh heavy with loneliness, with dread, with fear of endings. But it can also inspire. For if the silence means we are alone, then we are the first and only eyes to see, the first and only ears to listen, the first and only voices to wonder aloud. That responsibility is vast, but it is also wonder itself. We carry awareness into the universe, and in that act, we make the cosmos conscious of itself. Imagine again the vast plain beneath the stars. You stand alone, yes, but your gaze makes the stars more than distant fire. By wondering, you transform them into story. By questioning, you bind them into meaning. You may not be answered, but you are never voiceless. Pause here. Rest in the knowledge that wonder is already reply enough. The James Webb Space Telescope reminds us of this each time we see its images. No message arrives from them. No alien voice speaks through them. And yet, they take our breath away. They remind us that beauty itself is answer enough. That silence does not mean emptiness. That wonder does not end. Breathe again. Inhale the vastness of the image. Exhale the stillness of gratitude. The choice to wonder is also a choice to endure. Civilizations may collapse, predators may lurk, signals may fade, but as long as we wonder, the flame remains. Wonder fuels survival, exploration, resilience. It gives us reason to look up, to reach out, to imagine more. Wonder is not weakness. It is strength disguised as curiosity. Reflect once more. in your own life. How often has wonder given you strength, even when answers did not come? The cosmos asks us to choose that same strength now. As this chapter softens, imagine yourself once more beneath the sky. The stars shine, the silence stretches, the questions remain unanswered, and yet you do not feel despair. You feel wonder. For the asking itself is an act of hope, a prayer of curiosity, a song to the vastness. Whether or not anyone hears it, it matters that you sing. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the courage of wonder. Exhale into the calm of choosing it anyway. And as you drift onward, another thought rises gently. The silence may never break, but the choice to wonder can always be yours.